Meet MojoPix, a Santa Monica-based startup that is hoping to change the way you deal with photos taken with your smartphone. It all starts with a great idea, and MojoPix has got that. Now they're looking for that big breakthrough that will take them to the next level.
Welcome to Concept to Code. My name is Gary Carter, and today we're going to talk about accelerators. Now, Colin, I understand you attended a pre-accelerator?
Yes, I participated in a program called Startup Next here in Santa Monica, which was sponsored by Google for Entrepreneurs.
Okay, and tell us a little about what resources did you get? What did they walk you through?
Sure, so it was a 5-week program, and it was conducted in 10 cities around the U.S. and Canada. And the goal of the program was to get you from where you were to being ready to prepare to pitch to investors or apply to accelerators. Okay,
and so you're ready for an accelerator right now?
Yes, yeah. After graduating from that program, I'm looking to apply to accelerators now.
Okay, and what do you hope to get from an accelerator at this point?
2 big things, financial investment and also the access to the network that they provide.
Okay. Have you looked at any potential accelerators in the area?
Yes. Techstars is a very popular accelerator that I'm considering seriously, and 500 Startups is another one.
Okay. All right. Well, great. When we return, we're going to talk a little bit about accelerators. We have Yohei Nakajima from Techstars. Stay with us.
Welcome to Concept to Code, where you'll learn from the experts who are making Santa Monica a hotbed of technological innovation. Here to learn from our experts is MojoPix, a Santa Monica startup that wants to help you make the most of the photos you take with your phone. The experts are here. MojoPix is here. All on Concept to Code.
Today's topic on Concept to Code is accelerators and startup events. So you're working on your beta app and you're on the right track, but at some point you're going to need the mentoring, expertise, and financial resources that will launch your company to the next phase. We're going to learn a little bit about a treasure chest of the startup community today, accelerators. Yohei Nakajima is a program manager at Techstars, a local accelerator. He is a pillar in the startup community, previously serving as director at the Coloft Academy, events director at the Hub LA, and is former CEO founder of Entertain LA. He's also the co-organizer of Code for LA, which is the LA Code for America Brigade, Startup Weekend, and most recently, LA Startup Week. Yohei has a bachelor's degree in economics from Claremont McKenna College. Please welcome our guest mentor, Yohei Nakajima.
Thanks, Gary. So today, let's talk about startup events and accelerators, 2 of my favorite things. They're my favorite because it's all about helping first-time founders through building their business. And what ties these 2 together is it's all about growing your network. And I don't mean collecting business cards or collecting LinkedIn connections, but it's more about building strong relationships with people that you trust. And the kind of people you want to build relationships are peers, because starting a business isn't easy. So when things get tough, you want to have people who understand what you're going through. Mentors. These are people who might have startup experience or industry experience. These people can give you a lot of great advice that will help you not make the mistakes that they might have seen or made themselves. Partners. These are any company or people that you end up working with, people that help promote your brand, even suppliers. Customers are the people who give you money for your product or service. Without them, you don't have a business. Hires. Building a strong team is one of the key things that a founder has to do. And investors. These are the people who provide capital to help you really grow your business when you're ready. And all of these are people, and you need to build relationships with each of them. And sometimes you're not going to directly build a relationship with them, but you'll meet them through another relationship you built. So this is why it's really important for founders to build relationships and grow their network. Startup events are a great way to meet a lot of people and learn new things. But here's a few tips on how to kind of navigate startup events. Step 1 is just show up. If you don't show up, you're not going to meet people. You're not going to get the benefit of the event. You may not meet the person you want to meet at the first event you go to, but that's okay. If you continue going to these events, you'll start seeing the same people, and that's how you build relationships. It's not meet them once and instantly you're best friends. Be yourself is a tip I give everyone. The best networker I've seen really understand who they are as a person. If you're the kind of person that can walk around a room and get 50 business cards and you feel comfortable and great doing that, do that. But if you'd rather sit in the back of a room and talk to one person for the entire event and just really strengthen that relationship and that's your style, do that. Being yourself isn't something that comes to everyone easily. So you have to continually kind of assess what's working for you and double down on that. And finally, give first. That's actually a motto we have at Techstars. And the concept is, if you help people. It always comes back double, triple fold. So really show up, be yourself, and give first. Here's a few ways you can find some startup events. The first resource I point to is Startup Digest. If you subscribe to the local Startup Digest of your city, you'll get curated list of events directly in your inbox. In my experience, they've been the most consistent and well-curated list of events that I can find. Meetup is a great place to find groups of people who get together around a specific topic. It might be a coding language like PHP or Ruby. Or in LA, there's some great generic tech meetups, such as LA Tech Happy Hour or Santa Monica New Tech. SoCal Tech, Tech Zulu, Digital LA, We Are LA Tech, Silicon Beach LA, and Built in Los Angeles all have great calendars where you can find upcoming events. In my experience, a calendar that has every single event, one which doesn't exist, but would just have too many events and you wouldn't know which one to go to. So I suggest looking through some of these calendars and see which one kind of has your style of events that you're interested in so that you know where to go when you want to look for an event next time. I also wanted to highlight a few tech startup events around LA that are my favorites. Events like Startup Weekend, Angel Hack, and Hack for LA are events that where people get together and work on something together. It's a great way to build, again, strong relationships because you get to work with them in an actual work capacity as opposed to just having some small talk. There's also week-long events like LA Tech Week or Silicon Beach Fest, where there's a lot of little events and you get to pick and choose what you're interested in. Or events like LA Tech Summit that are put on by a big company and bring in a lot of great speakers from all over. General Assembly and Startup Next are two things I wanted to point out because they're focused on education around events, around starting a company. Of course, getting together with people is great, but when there's a focus on learning, you obviously get to learn, and you get to learn alongside someone else, and you get to brainstorm with, and again, build those relationships with both your teachers and peers. Going into Startup Accelerators. Startup Accelerators are great. They're amazing for first-time founders because they provide a handful of benefits. Here's how they work. They tend to take about 5 to 8% equity in your company for anywhere from 15 to 120K in cash. They're usually a program that runs about 3 to 4 months long where you work directly in that space. Again, this comes down to that face-to-face relationship building, both of the people running the accelerator with the mentors that come through and give you advice. In addition to that, you grow your network because you're working right side by side with other startups. Again, meeting more peers. There's usually alumni that come out of Startup Accelerators as well. If you're interested in seeing what kind of accelerators are out there, two great sites you can look at are seeddb.com and GAN.co. GAN is the Global Accelerator Network. So you'll be able to see what kind of accelerators are out there, maybe close to you or in your specific vertical. Here's a few accelerators. Y Combinator up in the Bay Area. Techstars, which operates 13 or 14 programs around the world right now. And 500 Startups are three names that you'll hear if you're looking up accelerators. I probably could have put AngelPad on there too, and there's obviously a lot of great accelerators, so I suggest you do your own research. In Los Angeles, some names you'll hear are Amplify, Mucker Lab, Launchpad, Start Engine, and K5. Some of them may not be an accelerator anymore and may have turned into a seed capital venture fund. But again, do your research, but here's some names that you can look up. MediaCamp and Disney Accelerator are also two great ones. MediaCamp is put on by Warner Brothers and Turner, and Disney Accelerator by the Walt Disney Company in collaboration with Techstars, and these are entertainment-focused accelerators. If you look outside of Los Angeles, you'll find all sorts of vertical-focused accelerators in robotics, in healthcare, in education or finance. If you fit in one of those verticals, that accelerator actually might be for you, and it might be worth for you to leave your hometown for 3 months to meet these people. A few tips on getting into accelerators. The first thing I tell people is, make it easy for the accelerator to say yes to you. You got to learn to put your best foot forward. What makes you special? Kind of going into point 2 is what makes you unique. Obviously, your idea should be unique. It should be a great idea. But if you speak 12 languages, let me know, because that's the reason I might want to talk to you and maybe even invest in you. And when you figure out what that nugget, that special nugget that makes you, your company, and your team special, don't drown it with everything you want to share. And that's what I mean by keep it simple. And finally, don't give up. We've seen many companies apply to Techstars once and then get in when they apply again a year later. keep trying, because that's how you actually get in. The conclusion that I come down to is surround yourself with people you like, respect, and trust, because those are the people that are going to help you grow your business. Those are the people you'll lean on, and those are the people that will help you succeed.
Well, Yohei, thanks a lot for that presentation on accelerators and
Thanks,
startup
Harry.
events. When we return, we're going to meet our founder of Mojo Picks, Colin Vincent, and chat a little bit about accelerators. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Santa Monica is in a perpetual state of innovation. At the center of it all is the entrepreneur, giving to the ecosystem and being fueled by it. But what exactly fuels the entrepreneur?
The reason why we moved to Santa Monica was to get access to the great talent pool that is in the city.
What inspires us is the weather, the ocean, the people, and the city itself.
Both Mitch and I like to surf every morning.
A great way to start the day.
One of my favorite things to do, come out here, bring my laptop, connect to what is a choice Wi-Fi connection.
I am one of the few lucky people I know that gets to ride my bike to the office.
The city is always finding new and innovative ways to make it an incredible place to both live and work in.
It's great to be in the middle of that action and being able to just tap into what Santa Monica has to offer.
I am the admissions manager for General Assembly.
I work for a local company, Lionsgate Entertainment.
I'm the Santa Monica's Youth Technology Program Coordinator.
I'm the IT manager for the Lowe's Santa Monica Beach Hotel.
I'm the COO and co-founder of Callfire.
I'm the founder of Favorite.
I'm the founder of Down to Earth Media.
We are a tech company. Our internet connection is very important to us.
And CityNet was really crucial in our initial growth.
And a rock-solid service, one of our top providers for connectivity.
The internet's not affected at all. We have great gigabit speed. We bring 30 or more students to these co-working spaces.
And they have come through with speeds that throw all their competition in the dust.
Seeing the evolution of a startup, implementing a new idea that's going to have a positive impact on society, it never gets old.
MojoPix is a Santa Monica startup that is going to change the way you use the photos you take with your phone. They are here today on Concept to Code to listen and learn from the experts about how to take their next big step forward.
Welcome back to Concept to Code. Today we're talking about startup events and accelerators. We're happy to have Yohei Nakajima with TechStars here today. And I believe you already know Colin Vincent from the Pre-Accelerator. Colin, you want to talk about that?
Hi, Colin. How you doing?
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
Yeah, Yohei was a mentor in Startup Next with me, and he was fantastic.
Great. So what did you learn in Startup Next?
Startup Next was great. It was a 5-week program designed to help me move from where I was all the way to being ready to prepare my pitch and my presentation for investors, and as well as my application for accelerators.
And now you're ready to do that. So what questions do you have for Yohei?
Yohei,
Yes.
So in terms of the different accelerator options, one of the things that stands out to me most is the difference in investment. Some accelerators offer $20,000 and some offer over $100,000. And I'm wondering why the discrepancy and what I might want to take into consideration when making a choice.
Well, to be candid, I think the discrepancy in amount that an accelerator is able to provide is certainly limited by the capital they have access to. So you'll probably find that the ones that have been around for a little longer, that might have some good reputation, are probably the ones that are providing more capital. But I think the question around, which one should I pick based on capital is actually the wrong question. And I think you should really focus on looking at like the network, the people they connect you to. I think that's the biggest value that accelerators provide. And I think that's what I would look at more so than the amount of capital they can provide. I think at best the capital they provide should be enough to make sure that you don't have to worry about your next meal, at least during the duration of the startup accelerator, so you can focus on growing your business.
Fair enough.
And let's talk about the accelerator process. A lot of times you may have to relocate. That may lead some folks to only look locally for the startup of choice. Colin, are you looking to relocate, or what? Is that a wrong decision? Is that a wrong move, or is that the right way to go?
Well, that's something that I'd like to talk to Yohei about, really. I mean, I have my network is in San Francisco and LA, And so my inclination would be to apply to a program that's in an area that I'm familiar with and that I already have a network. But perhaps it might be more advantageous for me to go somewhere where I don't. And I wondered if you had any thoughts on that.
As with almost every question that a founder asks, the answer is it depends. As you mentioned, if you have a strong network in LA and San Francisco, I think you would actually benefit greatly from going to another city, maybe like Austin or New York, and growing a big network there. Because what that allows you to do is it allows you to become a connector between those cities, which makes you more valuable to everybody, which makes your company more valuable. But for a lot of people have families or kids or existing things in their local town that they can't get away from, and for those people, obviously they should be choosing something local. Techstars, for that reason, actually, we focus on we look at emerging cities with a new startup ecosystem because we know that founders can't necessarily travel. So again, the answer depends, but those are some reasons that you might or might not move.
Yeah, one of the things that has occurred to me is if I move somewhere where I don't know people, then I won't have to be constantly turning down offers to go to barbecues and beach parties. I can actually focus on my company without having to say no all the time.
Absolutely. We had a few companies that went through the Disney Accelerator here in Los Angeles. A few were local, a few were not local. And I did notice that the people who are not local were spending more time at the accelerator space, probably due to the exact reasons you mentioned.
Now, how do you narrow the subset? I'm sure there's quite a few qualified companies that perhaps would benefit from Accelerator, and Accelerator would probably accept them. But obviously, how do you narrow that subset to pick the 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, whatever is going to go through? Is there any factors that you look at specifically?
So I'm sure each startup accelerator has its own kind of way of looking at companies. I can speak to what we do at Techstars, and it's going to sound cheesy, but the 6 criteria are as follows. First 3 is team, team, team. Market, traction, idea. The reason team is at the top is because when a company is so early, there's really no way to figure out if the business they're moving toward is going to be successful or not. The landscape might change. Some of their assumptions might be wrong. But we've seen that if we invest in a strong team, they'll figure out the problems they need to figure out. So we don't need to know whether or not the business they have today is successful. We just need to know whether it's a team that can figure out what will be successful. And then we look at market. How big is your market? If your product is only desired by 4 people, then no matter how successful you are, your sales aren't going to be that big. So we look at the market sizing. And then we look at traction, which is how much have you gotten done in X amount of time, which is another showcase of how good your team is. And people don't like hearing this, but idea is the last. I think about 25% of companies that get into a Techstars program end up changing their idea throughout the course of the program anyways. If you look at any study on startups, you'll know that you'll see that a lot of the successful startups have pivoted, meaning changing direction entirely, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, market size. Doesn't everyone take photos, have photos? Who doesn't have a smartphone? Who doesn't take photos? There's a natural market. I mean, obviously there's a huge market size. Is there any way that you would really, do you hear that a lot from companies? Hey, this is my market size, everyone does this, and you guys aren't convinced?
Yeah, it's hard to give a clear-cut direction that applies to everybody on how to size your market. Right. If you're a brand new product in a brand new space and there's no competitors, you might be able to just point out the market sizing for that. But if you're going to a space where there are a lot of competitors in your market sizing, you have to start thinking about that as well. For example, with photos, I guess for market sizing, you can just say everybody who takes photos. But there are certain people who are probably only going to use the functions that come with your phone. You don't necessarily have to put that in the market sizing, but being able to have a base sense of the percentage of people who might download an app to manage their photos, wherever you get that number, is going to be helpful when convincing people that you've done your market research. Again, when you're applying to accelerators or pitching to investors, oftentimes it's not about the actual numbers or what you say, but your reasoning behind it and also your ability to answer questions that come up from those numbers.
Have you seen any accelerators any startups that during the accelerator process that they actually kind of merge or give one team up, or have you seen any of that shifting of teams or consolidating, or does that generally, if they get into an accelerator, they generally have a good shot of launching? Is that
Well, we obviously want all the companies to come through accelerators to launch their company and move forward. But going back to what I was talking about earlier, is in face-to-face, kind of building that peer network. We haven't seen companies consolidate during a program, but we have seen companies, founders of startups that have shut down, join another company as an early employee that went through their first program. And it's great because they've seen each other work, and they know what their strengths and weaknesses are, and they've had the opportunity to bounce ideas off each other. So we have seen some sort of consolidation. Although for us, I think about 85% of our companies have either been acquired or still existing. So not too many have shut down yet, fortunately.
That's good. That's good. And that grows the network of your accelerator as well.
It does. Techstars takes pride in the size of our network. With over a dozen programs, we've invested in over 450 companies, which is about 1,000 founders, thousands of mentors.
Other questions do you have, Colin, do you think?
So back to the team. I want to address that for a minute. So I'm a solo founder, and I know that's an issue, and I wanted to know what your thoughts around that are, because a lot of the accelerators are really looking for at least a technical co-founder, and they shy away from solo founders.
I mean, without getting to know you really well and know your business, it's hard. It is a risk. Not having a co-founder, because having someone else working on the business with you shows that you were able to convince someone, or that you have someone else that you can lean on. That being said, we've had great solo founders go through Techstars program, and in that case, I would lean more on your network outside of your company. Look to get referrals from people that you've connected with. You mentioned that Startup Next was a great resource for you, and it seems like you've built some great connections there. Ask for their help and make sure that whoever you're applying to, they know that you have a network of people supporting you, even if they might not be part of your company. And if you can showcase that, I think you'll be okay.
Great.
Well, I think those were all great questions, and I think we all have learned a lot about accelerators today. Thank you, Yohei Nakajima, for coming to our show today.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. And if you're interested in applying to an accelerator, Techstars is a great program. Join us next time for more Concept to Code.